Hello everyone, this is Vishal Sood, and today I think I'm going to discuss something which is very close to my heart. Something will impact the future of our nation, and not just our nation. From the humanity perspective, it is very important that what we are going to discuss matters. The topic we're going to discuss today is the education system in our country preparing people for success in life, or is it devoid of the reality that is life? So, Divas, you being one of the foremost thinkers in this area, you are a popular motivational speaker, and as part of giving motivation, you tell them how to be successful, how to be how to lead a better life. So, and you are associated with university systems, with education system in general. So, what do you think? Is this question, what is your answer? Is it affirmative? Do you think our education system is in sync? Is it preparing people for life? Is it making enough people successful? Or people are being successful despite of this education system?
This question is great. It makes you think that whether we are in the right direction or not. The word itself, that is education leading us towards success, makes me think that what is success? If you ask anyone, they'll say success is subjective. For you, it's something else. For me, it's something else. In the entire school days, we have been taught how to be a winner, not being successful. It's about getting ahead of others.
That's very interesting. So, how do you differentiate winner and successful person?
Okay, for me, winner is someone who is ahead of others. In a class of like 60, if you're able to get a rank of like first, second or third, or in the like top 10, you are a winner as per the school system. But whether you wanted that rank for yourself, no. So if I get what I want, that is success. For example, I may not be craving for the ranks, I may still be successful because that's what I want. If I want to play sports and I'm really happy doing that, that makes me happy, I'm successful.
Okay.
I may not be a winner.
All right.
So winning as per me is getting ahead of others.
So what you are saying is that winner has an outgoing approach, outside approach to life. So that is how you're defining someone being a winner who is getting ranks or positions. And success is something inward looking. When you look at yourself, what it means to you, whether you want it or not. So just to make life easy, I also sometimes grapple with this definition when people say that success is subjective. For me, I try to make it easier for people who listen to us and who talk to us. So what I thought that if there are 5-6 checklists, of course the area, your occupation, your hobbies, your interest, your life goals could be different. But generally if you have 4 or 5, tick boxes in your life, I think you are more or less successful. And you can disagree with me, I will just list them out and we can add to it or subtract to it. I think one thing is your health. If you are fit, healthy, right? People around you are healthy, I think you are successful.
Absolutely.
Second is, your relationships, love in your life, right? How close you are to your family, how you supporting you are to them. It doesn't mean you are always, not disagreeing, but the kind of love that is there, the value system with friends, with community, that is one area of success. Third is, how generous you are. If you have friends, are you willing to offer a coffee? If you are willing to bring gifts, so if you have a generous heart, if you are willing to contribute for others, I think that could be one good parameter of success. And people who are more competent with more capacity, they generally do it, right? Third is how you treat youngsters in your life. So are you bringing chocolates? Are you willing to spare time to tell them a story, give them a life lesson? I think this could be another benchmark. And not the least, but the last thing I'm going to discuss is profession. Again, as you say, winner is defined by some arbitrary ranking. Who gives that ranking? I don't know. But let's say, tennis may probably there's an ATP ranking. In cricket also ICC gives a ranking. But in general, in CA, who is the number one CA of the country? There are no rankings. But if you are seen as a benchmark in your profession, people respect you, people want to have your opinion on things, I think that should also be an important parameter of success. We should not be seen as laggards or someone who is not competent. I think if 4 or 5 parameters are come, and of course people will have different level of financial success, different level of health success and family success. But I think these 4 or 5 parameters, if we bring our discussion around that, we can make it easy and put, then the analysis of the education system with respect to that will be easier, when you have health, family, respect,
Absolutely.
All those things. So if I say if we list these 5 parameters, and is our education system in sync with these 5 parameters, so it will make your answer easier.
It is not. It is not. You spoke about health as the first one, relationships. If you look at the school system, I go back to the same point of being a winner. It's about do anything. कुछ भी करना है और आगे बढ़ना है. नंबर लेके आने हैं, दोस्ती यारी हट जाती है. आगे बढ़ना है, नंबर लेके आने हैं, परसेंटेज लेके आनी है. Relationships.
So does our education system say that कि दोस्ती यारी छोड़ो और just go for numbers?
Because that is how you get ahead.
Alright.
That is how you are valued more.
Okay.
ये failure है, ये topper है. ये failure है, ये topper है.
Alright.
तो mindset इस बच्चे का कि मुझे अच्छे नंबर लेके आने ही हैं, तभी जाके मेरी इज्जत होगी. I'll be treated well in the entire classroom.
Alright.
Else वो डफर है, don't sit with him. तो टीचर आपको बोलती है ऐसे. तो a person who is not that academically sharp, he feels insecure कि maybe शायद I'm the wrong person in that classroom. मेरा interest academics नहीं है. But I'm being judged, I'm being asked that I should be good in academics also.
Right.
So कहीं ना कहीं जो toppers भी हैं, for that half a mark or 1 mark, बच्चा हर चीज़ करता है just to get ahead of other person. तो जो relationship वाला part था, उस पे focus नहीं होता है.
Education is very, defined in just from the academic success perspective. So other aspects of success, as we mentioned, are not being considered.
Not being
so
considered.
that makes it not so ready for life. Of course, improvements are required. I think most of the people, even educationists who are watching us, teachers, students, they will agree. Parents will agree that of course, marks is one benchmark. As a society globally, we have started putting this value that that these numbers, this is how you define. So education has become more of a contract.
Absolutely.
Let's say you study for 3 years, you do your some bachelor program or 4 years BTech program, you score this much marks. So it means we will quantify it as that if you have this many marks and you have done this degree, so it means you are ready for this, for a particular job. So education has become more of a contract that you deliver this, you get this certificate, these are the marks we assign you and we value you for this thing.
Absolutely.
Rather than other aspects. So basically it is blindly, following, certain parameters of success only, which does not make for a complete life.
True. To add to your point, in the entire nutshell, IQ को ज़्यादा अहमियत दी जा रही है as compared to the EQ and the SQ and the other aspects of it. तो कहीं ना कहीं जो आपने बोला कि relationships with people और how courteous you are, like can you offer a coffee or gifts, वो कहीं ना कहीं एक empathy, एक compassion, how you look towards society at large, वो भी आता है जो हमें नहीं सिखाया जाता है. It is more, yes, there are some schools which may focus. कहीं ना कहीं हम स्कूल को ब्लेम नहीं कर सकते.
But again, the pressures, if your board is saying, if government is saying, I will give you funding based on number of students passed and marks scored,
Yes.
so then what will you do about it?
Absolutely. So we cannot just blame the schools or the teachers as such. They have to follow. And today, if we look at retrospectively, कि हमको ये सब क्यों पढ़ाया गया? We might say कि यार like teacher कैसे थे? उनकी मजबूरी थी. They were doing their job. They could have revolted, but then the system has to acknowledge कि नहीं. आज चीज़ें बदल रही हैं with the new policy in place where things are like okay, let's focus more on mindfulness, focus more on your personality, your interest, जो पहले नहीं था. A lot depends on the timing also. हम जिस दौर से आ रहे हैं जहाँ पे again it goes back to East India Company, उनका आना, उनको like workforce की requirement थी. English was
even
the main.
in the entire industrial, since the industrial revolution, our education system globally also, even if you look at, of course, when we were ruled by our colonial masters, our education system is a legacy of that. They had no interest in our own development,
Yes.
in basically pursuit of self-awareness. So it was, as I said, it was more or like a contract that was signed. This is what you do. It was not about discovering yourself. It was
Yes.
not about spiritual journey
Yes,
that our
yes.
earlier education system
It was, yes, it was.
Right. And in fact, if today we have to, let's say if we agree on these are the good parameters to define success. We are not saying that your portrait has to be in the bigger offices or your book is written about you or you make a lot of money. Success is when you are, within a small community, you are making an impact in all these ways. So, but how will someone make an impact? A student who is till 10th, of course, new national education policy is relooking into it. How well it is implemented has to be seen. But what happens is that students are, I think even if generally most of our population goes to graduation. Till graduation, a student covers, I think at least fills 50 to 100 notebooks on every subject, maths, science, chemistry, whatever, accounts. You know, I come from science background, so I can't even name all the different streams. But no, what happens, you know, the most important subject, which is you, is never taught.
Absolutely.
And how it should be taught.
Yes.
You know, that is very, very important. That how will you train a teacher who is a science teacher? So do we have those resources, and in what manner? Or it has to be extracurricular or allied activities, or people like you have to take up that mental, and schools also have to give that freedom, and government has to give that freedom to schools to give enough time for such things and value it.
Absolutely. If you look at the trend that has been the last like 2 decades, we need engineers, क्योंकि IT कंपनीज आई, उनको इंजीनियर्स चाहिए थे, तो बहुत सारे कॉलेज खुल गए कि IT डिग्री लो और जॉब ले लो. फिर MBA चाहिए था, तो IT like इंजीनियरिंग प्लस MBA कॉम्बिनेशन मिला, लॉट ऑफ MBA कॉलेजेस ऑफरिंग यू अ डिग्री, एंड कंपनीज रियलाइज्ड इट कि इससे कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. People have a degree, but they don't have the skills. There are companies like Starbucks or Google and all, or Microsoft, who say कि ठीक है, अगर डिग्री नहीं है आपके पास, तभी we can hire you if you have the skills.
Basic aptitude.
Yes. So कहीं ना कहीं अगर हम ऑब्जर्व करें, ये अब एहसास हो रहा है कि जो ये डिग्रीज बिक रही हैं, उसकी कोई अहमियत नहीं है. इट इज़ मोर ऑफ अ पेपर दैन द ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट, जो बहुत ज़रूरी है एक बच्चे के लिए. Yes, our roots, the Gurukul system or the older system, was much more powerful. And if you look at Gurukul, the Mahabharat में जो पांडव थे, Arjun was good with his like Tir command.
So their skills were identified and they were nurtured in that direction, and basic thing was shared.
Exactly.
So now there are basically specialities right now in our education system also, but they are not, the aptitudes are not mapped to that. Personality is not mapped to that. So it should be kind of made mandatory. Although CBSE does this casual psychometric testing, but how seriously it is being taken, how aware people, parents, and you know, education system, other stakeholders are, that needs to be addressed and improved tremendously. True.
It is something like, you know, that if Arjun was able to nail the eye of the fish, the parents say, look at Arjun, be like Arjun, usko dekho, usne aise kiya. अरे जो भीम है, he is good with his strength. उसकी strength नहीं है वो.
Right.
So if you're asking Bhim also कि you know, like Bhim, be like Arjun, उठाओ तनुष, नहीं हो पाएगा.
Absolutely.
And that is what is happening with us, कि आपको बोला गया कि सबके सब भागो. The same race, right? Whosoever gets ahead, he's a winner.
Right.
He's a winner, right? और जो रह गया, he's a failure.
He's a failure.
उसको वो चाहिए ही नहीं था.
बिल्कुल.
वो उस रेस का पार्ट था ही नहीं.
Right.
What he wants, if he gets that, he's successful.
Right.
Physical fitness, absolutely. How mindful you are.
And it is applicable for everyone.
Everyone.
Look, sometimes I see a lot of people saying that people should go into different areas. Sports is not a routine occupation. You go into sports, you enjoy it. If you are successful, very good. But you have to be ready for life in other ways. You know, sports. How many people sports will occupy? You know, कितने लोग sports में job कर पाएंगे? So we can't tell that if you are good in sports, so you forget about studies. Learning, gaining knowledge is important. Gaining certain expertise is important, and then you have to understand this pressure that not everyone has to be in certain trades. Every profession requires certain intellectual capability.
Absolutely.
Right? Complexity of a certain task has been mapped. That, you know, your IQ is important. Right? And IQ is a God-given gift. But then telling people that if you are in a trade which is beyond your capabilities and you are being forced because there is a social pressure that engineer, you have to be a doctor, then you will not do well there also. And unnecessarily you will feel lot of pressure without getting the rewards that you wanted. It will just be that it will be socially, you will be able to tell at a coffee shop to someone that I am an engineer, nothing more than that. Right? But and now people are seeing with the number of engineering colleges there that it has lost that halo.
Exactly.
But what are the other options? How we tell our students from the very early age that whatever trade you go into, it is equally acceptable, right? You will get same kind of respect in the society. Income levels, of course, will be different. A complex task which requires certain skill set, very few people can do. In every economy, they are differentially paid. A doctor is always better paid than, let's say, a carpenter even in US or other economies. But the thing is that the dignity of labor is there with someone in carpentry also in those countries, right? And they make a decent living out of it. So that is something that, you know, our education system has to prepare. Now the kind of another important aspect that comes through education, why education institutes are built. They are not just built, which was which could have been the role of a ruling power like, you know, when British ruled India, it could have been their goal to get the manpower ready. But when we are building our own nation, the role of education cannot be just to get manpower.
Absolutely.
It is also to build a citizenry which is responsible,
yes,
which has you know, those kind of moral values,
true,
right? Which is industrious, hardworking, which, you know, which is basically what you call, I'm forgetting the right word for it, being an admirable person. Which institute, which college, which school is telling people how to be an admirable person? If you are industrial, you will be valued. What kind of people you want to hire? People who are sincere. Even all these studies show that second long-term predictor of success, you know, including one is IQ and second is your conscientiousness. Are we teaching our students to be that? People are submitting last-minute reports. We are okay with it, right? How will we get with the quality? People are going through the classrooms for 4 years of education without understanding what they are doing, and then companies have to fill in the gap because they need to do their business. But only few companies can do it. So if we are building a citizenry through education, we build a nation.
Right.
Empirical evidence shown, if you to build a quality nation, you are not just generating knowledge, you are building the quality of people. So we are not telling them about to understand themselves, to be patient. We are not teaching them the value of being industrious, being humble, being respectful, being generous. So these kind of value systems need to be introduced in our education system very, very fast. Otherwise, you know, we are economically growing, certain growth rate is happening, but still the current generation, the kind of existential angst they have, kind of disillusionment they have, if you look at even in other developed economies, the kind of how suicide rate, how people are hurting themselves is changing. I think this is something also which is part of the education to build that, you know, what you call psychological immunity against setbacks.
So true.
You know, our kids are not being built for that. You know, sometimes, you know, one thing is that one is they are saying these are winners, but with this new, you know, and we have overcorrected it also. What we are doing is that give certificate to everyone. Everyone is a winner. So you are teaching young kids that there is no merit in, you know, working hard and achieving certain things. So we can't overcorrect it also. It should not be that you have bowled a leg side wide, now you ball an offside wide to take the terms of cricket. So we should not overcorrect it. People have to be tougher. Life is inherently, there will be challenges. Life will not be smooth, right? To be successful, one is we have given the parameter, but citizenry, people have to inculcate those, you know, values in them that we discussed just now, like being industrious, being humble, being hardworking, being patient, having certain mental fortitude to fight certain setbacks. These things, if trained, they will do it better if being continuously taught into that. So our teachers need to be trained to a certain. This is not where you require a specific degree to do it. If it becomes part of that, you know, teacher training program, value-based education program. I think this is something that will really help India in the long run. Then the quality of every profession will improve. If people are sincere, industrious, humble, you know, we will have better carpenters.
Right.
Our chairs will not wobble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. We will have better scientists.
The roof won't collapse anytime.
Right. So those kind of things will automatically improve.
Absolutely. I mean, you raise a very valid point whereby the right mapping. All this while, if a person was successful, then we would not have seen CEOs or CXOs like committing a suicide. They have everything financially.
They are winners.
Yes, they are winners, right? Still, they go for a suicide or depression. Why? Because they feel I'm a loser. I am successful as per the world, but जो मुझे चाहिए था मुझे वो नहीं मिला. So
recently, our one very famous movie star from Bollywood, she also spoke about depression, and people questioned why she depressed, right? So I think the question was as invalid, and again, you know, life is more holistic. Life has to have certain meaning to it, right? So we have to understand that.
So true. I think you mentioned about the purpose, about the meaning of life. I was like thinking a lot about it, that exactly like purpose क्या है. एक मूवी आई थी डिज्नी पे सोल के नाम से SOUL एनिमेशन मूवी है. एवरीवन शुड वॉच इट. मुझे लगता है कि हम लोग जब डिस्पैच किया गया था ऊपर से, वी वर ऑल डिस्पैच फ्रॉम द हेवन एंड एवरीवन वाज असाइंड अ पर्पस कि व्हेन यू गो ऑन द अर्थ आपको ये सब करना होगा. if you're able to find what you're supposed to do, and if you do it, you feel fulfilled.
Absolutely.
कि हाँ ये मुझे करना था, you will do it. When people are like they fall at the like wrong place just because लोग चाहते थे, वो भागे, but then they felt कि यार मैं रेस तो जीत गया, लेकिन ये रेस मेरी नहीं थी. So to be
so how
okay,
do we apply that?
to be okay.
How can we not leave it to chance?
Okay, so over here, I would like to add one thing.
Because it is very hard to make a government policy or education policy under the assumption that we all have been dispatched from heaven.
हाँ, ऐसा मैं सोचता हूँ.
So how do we make a policy which helps people find their right purpose? And of course, humans are not made just for one thing. We have multiple cognitive skills which we can handle certain level of problems. We have certain interest, and not everything of interest has to be. If you have certain mental fortitude, sometimes there will be boring days in even your dream profession also. True. There will be tough days.
True.
And you can always have hobbies, right? So we have a more fulfilled life, right? So people are, again, how to inculcate courage. I think courage is one quality which is building block of every other quality. So we are telling, our education is telling people not to ask questions.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So that is also something that needs to be encouraged.
Yes.
Because teachers and everyone is under pressure that students, I have to finish this syllabus if there are too many questions, and we discourage people, right? So our, lot of time, when Indians go and work abroad, this is something very clearly people notice, that we are a bit shy of asking questions or having different opinions.
True.
Right.
Acceptance has to be there. कि like class के time पे, if a person dares to ask a question, accept it, right? अगर बच्चा like fail भी हो जाता है, accept it. हमने बात करी कि how do you figure out कि आपका purpose क्या था? How did you figure out? How did I figure out? I tried lot of things.
Absolutely.
We failed in a lot of things.
Right.
We thought कि यार ये काम नहीं कर रहा है, ये काम कर रहा है. Because we were allowed to fail. We made peace that if I fail, it's okay. But school कहता है, if you fail, you're out, you're debarred. या फिर रिपीट करो क्लास को. The fear is so much कि अगर मैं fail हो गया तो लोग क्या कहेंगे?
Right.
You are afraid of failing, and failing is so important. Failing कब होगा? When you like try out things. So to find out what you are good at, if the society as such, the education system says कि यार it is okay to fail, try it out. It's fine, right? Then a student, a parent gets the courage. It's okay. It is okay to fail. My kid, I mean, like recently we have had shows of Shark Tanks on the Sony. Every parent is like, go and become an entrepreneur. Rewind to just a couple of years back. No, job. The horizon was myopic. Today
we are not thinking from all the career prospects we want to offer to our kids. We don't look at it from the perspective of what is right for them. Right? We ask, a lot of times I also get I'm asked this question, sir, is engineering the right field? So it is not about that. The question should be, what is the right field for me?
For you, yeah.
And it should not be a fashion fad you are following. Entrepreneurship, of course, could be very widespread, and you have to understand what kind of risk appetite you have. And again, risk capacity has to be built in schools.
Yes.
That's why entrepreneurship telling them how to take risk. How will you handle failure if you have certain risk appetite?
Absolutely.
Right? But again, I will just to add and fine tune, and it might sound slightly contrary also. How to fail is very important. Look, how you have managed to become a success from failure, right? What you did was you enhanced your capacity, you kept on learning. Failing should not be a casual activity.
So true.
Right? It has to be done that, look, fundamentally, people, our education system should develop capable people, committed people, sincere people. So, of course, success is not guaranteed. And people might not achieve what they were looking out for, despite their best, despite their best efforts. But if they're continuously building that capacity in them, if they are failing in the right way, if they're becoming better, if let's say they are into fintech, if they're understanding better financial modeling systems, then my first model might not work. If they are getting healthier, if they are better at their relationship management, in their sales process, facing a camera or whatever, right? So if they are that should be the paramount to failure. It should not be that I was casual then also, I didn't go out to do enough sales in the next business also, and you can't say that it is okay to fail, right?
No.
And especially, coming to this, as I was saying, that we are, too much correction is happening. When we say that sometimes it is okay to fail, we tell people, accept who you are. right? This itself is a very dangerous statement, right? So you have to tell them to be better. We have to tell them that, no, you're no good. You don't get up in the morning, you are fat, you don't exercise, right? You are unhealthy, you don't have, you feel jealous. So these are some of the things you have to let go and improve.
True.
Right?
So
only
true.
then you will find success.
So true.
There are so many people, they should not be themselves. Right? They should be told not to be themselves and be something else.
Yes,
or be
absolutely.
better and improve on certain things, right? And this sense of entitlement that you should always listen to yourself, this mass thing, which is happening especially in last few years and with millennials, that you should always chase happiness. You can't always be happy, right? And you should chase responsibility.
Right.
So because when you chase responsibility, to deliver those things responsibly, you develop capacities. So once you develop a capacity, you do more than what you were, how you started out to be. तो आप रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी को चेस करो. आप ये बोलो कि नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है कि मार्क्स लाना कोई बुरी बात है और अगर आपके कम आए, पर कम आना तब बुरी बात है आपने मेहनत नहीं की. You are still not doing last moment assignments and all those things. मार्क्स आएंगे, right? आप अपना potential तो achieve करो. Regrets will come when you are not working on your potential. You have wasted your time.
So true.
And when you are not giving your best, our what you call that moral fiber or a constitution is built in such a way that when you are doing wrong things, when you are the person who is constantly lying, so आप अंदर से you know that, right? And your friends are working, you have to work towards an assignment, and you are sitting with a friend having a coffee, you are not enjoying that also. Because in her heart you are sitting on a Sunday afternoon or in the morning, changing those boring channels on TV set, and you should exercise and eat right. You are not enjoying anything. But moment you translate those things into action, right? Once you start taking responsibility, that okay, I have to change for it, you will become better, right? There will be setbacks, but you will be better, I would say positioned to handle those setbacks.
True.
Right? You would be that one person, like we mentioned, that who people will look up for. I should go and talk to him. He or she can help me. They are good guidance. And once you feel that you are competent, you will automatically become generous.
Absolutely.
You know that I'll be able to survive.
Absolutely.
You will always become, that kind of person who is willing to, help someone else also. You will have better relations. You should know yourself better.
So true.
So this is something which education should. I think if there are 6 subjects, let's say in a particular class, there should always be one notebook in every class where the subject name is your name. Where you study with as much sincerity as you study, yourself. I have a old friend. He's so old, he's dead now. Aristotle. Okay. He said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, and nothing could be truer to that. Our earlier system, as you also mentioned, was clearly talking about that, and now we are just going through the motions and going through those 6 subjects without ever thinking how to learn better. It's very passive learning. Okay, I don't of course we have a certain syllabus. Some basic knowledge has to be given to everyone, right? So okay, this is not working for me. How do I do it differently? Parents should also look at it, that to help their kid in different learning ways, to make it smarter for them. So, and over a period of time, initially a kid might not listen. I always tell this to parents, that sometimes you feel like kids don't listen, they're too young, but they are listening, right? And but you also have to set examples with them, right? Once you set examples and you talk about those things consistently, if teacher talk about those values consistently, if teachers come in the class very prepared, she inspires. So when you start inspiring kids, they start following you.
Absolutely.
Right? So how you inspire them?
True.
What kind of role models you are giving to your kids?
So true.
Inside the classroom and outside the classroom becomes very, very important.
So preaching is quite common in the classrooms where teacher gives lot of ज्ञान कि हमें ऐसे ऐसे करना चाहिए.
You should
but
work
क्या वो
hard
खुद
and,
कर रहे हैं? That is so important.
And kids realize that.
Yes, they realize it. They can sense it. They can sense it.
Right.
So important. I mean, you reached a valid point where we are so carried away and the student might think कि ये तो सब सरकार की दिक्कत है या फिर policy ऐसी नहीं है. So I think ownership, accountability of every individual plays an important role. Where you say that yes, I tried, I worked really hard, I could not get results. Let me raise the bar again.
Absolutely.
So that is also the responsibility
I think individually, if we start taking certain responsibility, it will accumulate into something big. It will start changing nation. It will start with your community or your school or your classroom. It will then translate into school system, then it will translate into community, districts, and ultimately bigger change will definitely happen.
True.
And there was with such you have very varied and deep experience with helping people improve themselves through your ikigai, right? So what are the journal, if you have to say, what are the journal areas, where people who reach out to you and seek your advice, what are the areas generally you find them lacking?
As of now, when I train the like
One
senior
is a
individual,
skill. Let's say someone you have to teach about English communication, so they need to practice English. More or less, it is about that, and how you give them a good strategy and good roadmap for that. But generally, what kind of attitudinal changes everyone needs to build to continuously grow in life?
mental blocks. There are only two aspects. One is the absolute truth, and there is gravity.
You have to explain it more.
Okay. For example, if I drop something from here, it will certainly touch the floor because there's like, there's like gravity.
Yeah.
Absolute truth. ऐसा होता ही है.
Right.
Other is relative truth.
Right.
कि मेरे हिसाब से ये सही है.
All right.
आपके हिसाब से ये सही है.
Right.
अगर हमें वो समझ आ जाए कि exactly what I have been following so far was the blueprint given to me by the समाज, जो मेरे आसपास के लोग थे, मैं जिस धर्म में पैदा हुआ, जिस परिवार में पैदा हुआ, जिस देश में पैदा हुआ, जो वहाँ का पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम, सब कुछ.
So it is a contract. ये contract आपने sign कर लिया because everyone saying this is the truth.
ऐसे होना चाहिए, ऐसे होना चाहिए.
आप you should be like that. You should be like that.
ये absolute truth है, नहीं, वो relative truth है, ऐसा आप सोचते हैं. We have been operating with these mental constructs next 10-20 years, maybe जब join करते हो workforce को, अब 10-20 साल तक ऐसे काम करते हो. Mid-30s में you realize there's a midlife crisis happening. कि अरे मैं कर क्या रहा हूँ, ये क्या हो रहा है? And that is where you realize कि जो मैं अभी तक कर रहा था वो मेरे लिए नहीं था.
Right.
You signed the wrong contract. You have signed it, but you're like, oh. So the first thing which I do with my clients is I will challenge their belief system, what they have been thinking. It's fine. I will not be like, "Oh, ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है?" Just making them think that, okay, has it served you so well? Or if you had to change it, what you will gain, what you would lose.
Right.
Changing the belief system is the first thing. We have been believing in certain things. Suppose.
So we have a self-image and we feel that this is who we are, right? Let's say, and sometimes those things about us don't serve us, but we feel this is part of our identity, and we carry on with that because everyone has said the same thing, right? It has been reinforced by our behavior also.
Conditioning is there from childhood.
Absolutely. And even certain behaviors, like people say that I can't get up in the morning. People say that I can't be patient. I'm not good with maths. I don't have risk ability. I don't have that kind of courage. So basically, people see them as certain qualities which are you are inborn with. I think this is what you're trying to say. But these are muscles that need to be trained, and you can change yourself.
Yes, you can change it. For example, giving my personal experience, I was not someone who can take risks. I was playing it very safe. I can live with this habit. that मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ. How can I take a risk? Entrepreneurship नहीं मेरे लिए नहीं है.
So we don't want to get uncomfortable. We are in a comfort zone.
So when I look at my wife, who is a Punjabi, a Sikhni, who is quite daring, कि देखते हैं हो जाएगा. And I look at her, that how can she think? She has a different belief system. That's how she has been raised. And I look at it that okay, if I have to go to that path or that goal, क्या मेरा belief system मुझे वहाँ पे पहुँचाएगा? नहीं. उसका belief पहुँचाएगा? हाँ पहुँचाएगा. I can adopt it. I can borrow it.
Absolutely.
That openness, that acceptance of other belief system कि वो भी सही हो सकता है.
Absolutely.
If I become कि नहीं ये absolute truth है, यही तरीका है to reach over there.
Right.
I remain where I am.
Absolutely.
But if I have to go over there, it's something like on the road, you have Google Maps. आगे बंद है, red है. You will find a way to कि मैं कहाँ से मुझे पहुँचना है ultimately.
Right.
That should be the approach कि finding a way to reach your goal.
Right.
And it's okay not to follow the belief system which was given to you by your parents, right? It is very important.
So basically, whatever parts of you doesn't suit your goals or are not working for you, right? So you can leave them.
You can leave them.
We don't have to very strictly define ourselves as a person because we have to evolve, right? And we have to see continuously analysis has to be done through that notebook where you are the subject and you keep on improving it and getting it better. I think that is what you are trying to say.
Buffet है, आप choose कर सकते हो आपको क्या खाना है.
Absolutely.
जरूरी नहीं आपको यही खाना है. If you love salads, have salads. Right. Completely okay.
Right.
पनीर से स्वाद अच्छा आता है, but वो आपके health के लिए अच्छा नहीं हो सकता.
Absolutely. So immediate gratification you don't need.
So true.
You need to be basically again you have to develop that kind of conditioning in yourself from the. I think our education should do that. That we should not always be I think that is what is lacking. If I talk about, you know, certain regions and certain communities, although I don't believe that we should stereotype them, but the thing is, any individual who is willing to wait, who is patient, and who knows that there are certain right things to do, right? You can't be greedy. Right, you should not be we all know that what are the right things to do. It has been told to us in the last 4,000-5,000 years. We have distilled it that these are the right things to do, but we still don't do it.
Yes.
Right. We, of course, some man-made systems superimpose on them.
Yes.
We should look at them, that how our conscious behaves. Anything we do which is not in sync with our conscious, right? Whoever, I mean, there might be the worst human person on the earth, and that person might be lying all the time, but she would also appreciate someone who is truthful and honest, and would like to have those people on our team. So we know fundamentally that these are the right things to do. We know that, you know, we should be patient. We should not, you know, we should be willing to make sacrifices.
Yes.
And today, you know, it becomes, you know, we are not teaching our students, we are making them, you know, giving them a sense of entitlement, that they deserve this. Somehow they are born to, you know, as a, you know, this is for them, and if they don't get it, something unfair has been done to them. We are not willing to make our sacrifices. You know, we have to, like, you know, we are in the digital age, you know, IT age, versions keep on coming, and, you know, we have to delete that version of ourselves. You know, we have to make that sacrifice of ourselves, which has been mentioned in every religion, and people forget what was the, today we do some rituals, but what was that sacrifices? Sacrifice, why people used to give some part of their food in earlier times, you know, they make sacrifices to the gods, and it was saved and given to others, right? And why was that sacrifice? So that when the later on you can use it, others can also make that sacrifice. Otherwise you will not sustain yourself. If, let's say, in ancient time, some community has a good harvest, and if they don't save it, or don't say, if they want to fill their eat cakes every day, it is not good for them. So we also today in the modern times, those are not the problems, but the problems are that we have to sacrifice our current version every day, version which is lazy, which is jealous, which is not hardworking, which is not industrious, and some sense of individual responsibility has to be built in students as well as in the entire community, that you have to make sacrifice this version and get better. You can't keep on telling that I am that kind of person, and then somehow don't change yourself and expect results to change. That is not going to happen.
Yes. So true.
So
ignorance is there, where the kid thinks ki theek hai, aisa ho jayega. I always emphasize that don't buy a degree, earn a degree, earn a career.
Right.
I mean, you cannot buy a name.
Absolutely.
You may get some PR, some publicity. If it has to be sustainable, it will be when you
core
earn it.
Good fundamental values have to be there.
वो रहेंगे.
So I think our education system needs to, you know, build of course technical education, they have certain other, you know, limitations, that certain things have to be delivered, but this, I think now the education system of India should engage parents also, continuously train them. They will also become better.
Yes.
Right, this value system, teachers should be trained, and automatically they will do better in their life also.
Yes.
And ultimately it will benefit next generation tremendously, and we can reap tremendous benefits.
Parenting plays a very important role. As you spoke about the conditioning, it starts from there.
Right.
As you rightly mentioned, that a child is subconsciously listening to what is happening around.
They are observing very well,
and
be patient with them.
Yes.
Right. If you at the age of 40, 45 have not developed the patience, you promise yourself, I will not eat cake from tomorrow, and you still eat it. How do you expect, you know, it is again where this mental fortitude comes in. You walk a path, which is a righteous path, right path to follow for a few days, and then you fall back. Don't tell yourself then that probably I'm not able to do it. Coming back to track is the most important learning. That is, I think, the failure is.
Yes.
Everyone tries to go on the right track, but it is too hard. Then coming back again when you have fallen, you know, let's say you want to eat less, you want to get healthy, you want to reduce weight, right? You can't, you know, like you were talking about gravity, right? I will use gravity example in a different way. In terms of, let's say if I am fat and I want to lose weight, I have to do it myself.
Yes.
Right? I can't pray to God and tell that reduce the gravity of earth so that M into G, my weight comes down.
Yes.
So we can't rely on that. That is just wishful thinking.
Yes.
And so many people say that somehow things around us change, and we should be this, you know, perfect people who we are, who gets up late, who is so casual, who sometimes shouts at family members or friends, and we should be the same, but we should have all the success that we want. I think that is not going to happen.
Absolutely. वो आपका सिर्फ एक ख्वाब है, उसे ख्वाब ही रहना चाहिए, मतलब हकीकत
And
में.
a continuous improvement should be the
Yes,
goal
yes,
of our education
absolutely.
system, and building, we are not here to build just a workforce. Lot of
Yes.
time we are talking about GDP, economic, these are important things, but at the same time, all this number will accelerate if our education system is able to build a value based citizenry, and should not be about religious values and those things. It is about these core moral values which are about humanity, and how which are, I would say, are as real as gravity.
So true. As students also, they cannot blame the system. Today, because of internet, we have all the options. आपको पता है कि क्या क्या possible है, जिसके लिए आपको शायद कॉलेज आना ज़रूरी नहीं है. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, if you can do YouTubing, do it. Do podcasting, do it. If you're good with writing, you have blogging. बहुत कुछ करने को है जो कि पहले नहीं था, शायद awareness नहीं थी. तो आज ये excuse देना would certainly be an excuse.
Ab Divas, now in your head, someone X experiences you know what you mean, you are saying. I always qualify, because people say YouTubing, some value based YouTubing. It's not just that you are doing any nonsense and somehow you get, so people are trying to always look at the easy way. It can't happen like that, right? So you have to do value based things.
Yes.
So it has to be, so when someone as successful and experienced like Devas says that you can do YouTubing, it doesn't mean you twerk on YouTube and somehow do some stupid things and somehow it will make for a good career. No, it does not. Right? What it means is that if you have a passion, you can express it and use it profitably. Or you can just share knowledge. We should have that sense of social responsibility. I think Devas, I would really appreciate this conversation. It will be very helpful to the people who will listen to us and who want to make a positive change in their life. Thank you for coming to our studios.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure talking to you.
All right. I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you.